So last week I got an email that SSL announced their new 360 software. Now the software allows you to control almost any plugin using their UC1 control surface. If you've been watching my videos for a long time and really paying attention, you would notice that above the Shadow Hills and the curve bender rack over here behind me is a SSL UC1 and a UF8. Now, I got these because in the studio, I just got so used to using my hands to control EQ and compression and obviously the faders. And so it was really nice to be able to just have a unit ready to go that I could control some of the EQs and the compressors and stuff like that. The limitation that I found, of course, whenever I bought it, was that it only controlled SSL plugins. I love SSL plugins. I'm obviously a huge fan of SSL. I mean, I'm sitting at a 96 channel SSL duality fuse, but I love using other plugins too. There's so many other good companies out there, and I still haven't found a way to get by with just using one brand of plugin. So a month or two ago, whenever I was at NAMM, I saw that they announced that they were gonna come out with this new 360 where you could use this UC1 to control everything. And then it finally came out and I got really excited about it. And so I took my UC1 and put it on top of the console and started kind of playing around with it and seeing how well it worked, how easy it was to use. And in this video today, I really just want to show you how cool it is and how simple it is and the freedom that it gives you in controlling your plugins and ultimately controlling your mixes. Now, SSL did not pay me anything to say any of this. They're not giving me any kind of compensation or any free stuff for making this video. This is just completely out of my own interest, and I just thought it would be really fun to share with you. And again, if you've been watching for a while, you know the sponsorship of these videos is QuizTones. QuizTones is my #1 favorite app for learning how to listen for frequencies in music and vocals and drums. It's a really easy to use app. And if you're interested at developing your skills and getting better at mixing and understanding frequencies, just click the link down in the description and grab it. It's free, so why not? All right, so in Pro Tools right now, I have just a simple session that I grabbed just to kind of play around with. You can see on the big screen here, I also have the SSL 360 software. This just kind of gives you like a console view of everything that's going on. I'm not really in this very much. It's just kind of cool to, at a glance, be able to see everything and if I needed to, I don't know, adjust something, but I still am primarily inside of Pro Tools. So let's just listen to this mix that we have going on here. It's just a rough mix, just trying to get everything to sound kind of decent for you. Let's play it and see what we got.
Whiskey and a smoke for me.
Sweet. So in this session, I've got just my drums here. We've got bass here, guitars, saxophone, some background vocals, the lead vocal, and then I went ahead and, oh, let's hide this. I went ahead and added just some effects here that are all kind of just ready to go. This sends looks kind of crazy, but I was trying to sort of make this feel like I was on the console, and so I just went ahead and added all these sends almost like I had gear, and these are being sent over here to this these effects. Let's go ahead and go to this kick. So basically on the UC1 here, it's very, very simple whenever you're, again, talking about the SSL plugins. As soon as you click on a plugin, your UC1 pops up and it says kick out, which is the plugin that we have selected. And then anything that you grab, just like this gain here, is working directly on the controller. And then you have these little lights, which are kind of cool, that sort of tell you what's going on, along with a readout that tells you what the dB is. Same thing goes for the compressor over here and the gate. You can also turn stuff off and on, which is nice. You can switch to the E series instead of the G series, works really well. And then this center section right here, this is the mix bus compressor. So just for fun, I tried to set up a mix bus that was kind of similar to what I have in the studio, and what I came up with is I've got the bus compressor 2. That's kind of taking the place of my Shadow Hills compressor. Then I've got the vintage drive that I use on the SSL on the Fusion section of the console. I kind of just matched the settings to see if it was similar. And then we've got the Violet EQ. Now I'm going to show you this in a second, but the Violet EQ isn't automatically mapped to the UC1, but through this update and this software release, I was able to map this straight from Pro Tools to this UC1. And you can see on this is it shows that this is the SSL Fusion Violet EQ, it's the main output, and I custom mapped the knobs to the correct knobs here. And then we've got my trusty Gullfoss here that's just doing a tiny bit of taming on the output. What I really want to show you is how easy it is to map controls to this UC1 from a plugin. So we're gonna go to the drums here. I'm gonna solo the drums, and the drums sound like kind of decent, but I want them to be bigger and fuller and kind of match the intensity of the rest of the track. So let's just hear what these sound like real quick. So you can hear a little bit of guitar in there. One thing to note on this session is this is a live session. So these guys were all in the same room. There's tons of bleed everywhere. That's just how it was recorded. I have all the drums going to my drums aux, which is right here. And then I also have all the drums going to this drums crush. So what I want to do is I'm going to mute this drums aux. We're going to bring up my drum crush, which is just at this point the same exact thing as this aux. Now what I want to do is basically compress the crap out of this drums crush and make it super dramatic, and then I'm going to blend it back in with the drums aux to get a really nice blend to just give it a little bit more punch. Normally what I would do is I would go to my compressors and I would pick some sort of compressor. But today we are going to go to this SSL 360 link. This is the plugin that basically allows you to link anything that you want straight onto your UC1. I can already see right now on my UC1 it says drums crush and 29, and that basically is confirming right here, drums crush 29. That's just telling you that the UC1 sees this 360 plugin. Now, in order to load a plugin, there's this whole kind of startup process where you have to scan all of your plugins and get them all to work with 360, and it kind of tells you the ones that work and don't work, and you can go through and create favorites and all that kind of thing. For this example, we're going to use the DBX 160 compressor. So I'm going to go to click to load here, go to DBX 160 stereo. All right, so we have our plugin here. Now, basically what this does is every time we click the 360 plugin to bring up the actual plugin, it's going to bring up both these windows. So it'll bring up the 360 link plugin and then the associated actual Waves plugin or whatever plugin that you have set up. It is so simple to set up these plugins and create custom maps for them. It's wild. So all I have to do is I basically just have to select any one of these controls, and you can see that it's selecting on this side here as well, any of this stuff. So I'm going to select threshold, and then I just touch whatever knob or switch that I want to control that with. So I'm going to go to the compressor here just to make it simple, because this is a compressor, and we're going to have threshold here. So I'm going to move threshold, and now you can see threshold left/mono is actually this threshold. So now I have full control and I can swing this around and do whatever I want, which is really cool. Now it looks like we have a ratio right here. So I'm going to select this ratio knob and I'm going to move the ratio on this plugin, and now we can control full ratio. So now, all of a sudden, I've got control of this plugin. Anytime that I want to control this, let's just say that I'm in a totally different plugin, we'll open up this SSL channel strip, which will reset our UC1 to snare top. Now I'm gonna load my 360, and boom, we're ready to go. We've got it open. All right, so let's just let's play with this. Let's see what this sounds like. Awesome. That sounds fine. Let's go ahead, just for fun, I'm gonna add well, actually, let's just add another 360 plugin because I want to do some EQing a little bit. So we're gonna add another 360 plugin. I'm gonna load, these are some of my favorites here. I'm gonna load the Shep 73. Oops. Oh, I hit mono. Stereo. All right, so this plugin, it looks like I have not mapped, which is perfect. So this is, of course, an EQ plugin. Now I'm gonna go ahead and create my own custom map for it. So I'm gonna hit this high gain. This is what the high gain, and I'm gonna do the high gain here. Set that to 0. I'm gonna do mid gain, and since we only have 3 bands, I'm gonna keep it on the lower one right here. So we're gonna do mid gain, perfect. Set that back to 0. Then we're gonna do frequencies here, which is gonna be this guy. Yep, so now I've got full frequency control. We're gonna go to low gain, yep. And then we're gonna go to, oh yeah, frequencies, perfect. Awesome. Now I do have this high pass filter, which is pretty cool, and I do have a high pass filter knob, so I'm gonna go ahead and select that and assign that. It looks like I have a button to turn it on and off. Since my high end, I don't necessarily need to switch that to a bell because it's always a shelf. I'm just gonna use this button as my on-off. Perfect. And see, it lights up. It's smart. It lights up and tells you, like, oh, you've got your high pass filter on, and it's off, and it's on, and it's off. Just pretty sweet. Pretty sweet. So now this plugin's completely mapped, and we're done. I did everything, right? Yep, because there's no cue, there's nothing like that. So, sweet. Now let's just make this sound different and more fun. Awesome. And that's it. That's literally it. That's how you map plugins and you're already ready to go. And the cool part about this, let's just say I want that same plugin, the Shep 73 on my drums, like my main aux. So I'll go ahead and just do the same thing, SSL, 360 link. And then we're gonna go ahead and load our Shep 73. And now it's already linked. So it saves my last link and what I did, and it's just ready to go. So now we actually have control over the entire drum bus, which is pretty freaking cool. So let's turn off this mute. I'm gonna bring down our drum crush, and let's just try to make this a little bigger here. So it just made it bigger, made it fuller, made it match the intensity of the bass and also that saxophone player. One more example just to show you how awesome this can be is we're gonna solo this guitar 2 here. I'm using the SSL channel strip 2. Let's for fun, we'll just turn this off and on using the UC1 so you can hear what it sounds like. So it's very subtle. The only thing I'm really doing is adding just a little bit of 2.4K, cutting out a tiny bit of 550 hertz, and then adding some 96 hertz in there just to give it a little bit more beef. For fun, let's bypass this plugin, and we're gonna go ahead and load that SSL 360 and map out one more thing. SSL 360. We're gonna load the virtual mix rack by Steven Slate. Let's see if it's gonna work. I haven't used this stuff in a long time, so hopefully it works. All right, so let's just say I wanted to make a preset here. So we have the typical, this kind of looks like how the SSL looks, so that's gonna be really easy to map out. And I also wanna add, let's do some kind of a compressor, just as an example. I love this FG116 a lot. It's one of my favorite compressors that Slate has. Let's just add the vintage one in here. So we're just gonna stick it in its slot. So now we're gonna go ahead and just map these, which, oh man, actually. So, funny story, I didn't even know this while recording this, but it looks like the virtual mix rack stuff already is mapped and it's ready to go. I could be wrong. Let's see if I see comp ratio. Okay, it looks like that's mapping something different. What about my gain? Okay, so gain does work. It's probably looking at that default compressor that came in. I'm learning as we're going here, trying to figure this out. We're gonna hit settings here. I see, clear this link, and clear this link. We're learning, so you clear the links if you wanna change them, and then you can select. It looks like not all plugins are supported. Maybe that's what it is. So it looks like this plugin isn't supported. So maybe we need to load this one. So I'm going to clear my links here. Threshold. Okay. Interesting. So certain plugins aren't controllable. I'm sure that's going to come with an update. But we have our VCA compressor. This is also a really good compressor. So now I have full control. We'll hit my ratio. I can control my ratio now. And then, oh, release. And I've got a release, so that's cool. Release. And then attack, which I could change to really any of this stuff. But we're just going to keep that what it is just for now. And I'm going to clear this link. And I'm gonna make this be this. So cool. So I just made the power to turn this compressor off and on the actual in button on the compressor. Sweet. So let's just hear how this sounds. Get a sound and kind of compare it. Let's see the difference here. So this is the slate EQ and compressor. Now SSL. Sounds pretty good. Sounds kind of awesome. I wish I had like a little SSL compressor to kind of compare that to, because I actually like the compression of the slate stuff, but I do definitely still like the EQ on the SSL better. That may just be me being a fan of SSL. Every time I see SSL, I think it's better. I don't know. What do you think? As you can see, there's a lot of power in this UC1 controller. It's kind of ridiculous. Like, just to be able to have a quick control of what's going on in your mix and to use your hands to be able to manipulate your plugins. Another plugin I use all the time is the Fab Filter stuff. So I made a preset that's got a few bands and has a high pass filter here, and it's automatically mapped to my Fab Filter plugin, which is really nice because I typically use this to kind of clean up like really sharp frequencies and stuff like that. And to be able to just open up the plugin and have immediate control over these bands, you can kind of see how it could be so much faster than sitting here and like really trying to get it with the mouse, you know, clicking your way through it. It's really, really handy. So this last week we had a student from a nearby college that came in to check out the studio and to ask questions and kind of have like a good hour just to get familiar with how a studio operates and what we do here. And one of the things that he told me that kind of blew my mind and made me remember sort of how I felt whenever I was going to school for audio is that this analog console is very intimidating and seems much more complicated than the digital console we have in the other room. Now, for me, that's not really true. The digital console is kind of like a computer, and you're in the computer, which is so much more complicated if you really think about it. The analog console is really simple. You want an EQ, you just turn it on and you start to move knobs. Like, you want a compressor, you turn it on, you start to move knobs. You want a reverb, you just turn on your effects send and turn it up, and you have a reverb that comes out. And we had this conversation about how this gentleman is so used to seeing the EQ, seeing Fab Filter in these bands and how they're shaped, and making sure that the shape is right and the cut is right compared to the kind of the frequency response that you're visually seeing within the plugin. And I totally remember being in that camp and relying so much on what I'm seeing visually. And the best advice I ever got was to close your eyes and EQ. So if you're trying to find a frequency that's not working, you do this and grab the frequency guy and close your eyes and sweep around and listen to what you're doing and what you're moving without visually seeing it. And it just is a really good practice to get your ears out of your eyes, if that makes any sense. Like, the whole point of music is to listen to it and know if it's right or make a judgment call if it's wrong. And if you're constantly just looking at everything, the way you make decisions is just so much different. And what I love about this UC1 is it gives you practice not only to close your eyes, but you could just pull up the plugin, not even have to look, and be messing with knobs and something that's tangible and something that's moving. And I think finding yourself in a workflow that suits you, where you're moving through a session physically using your hands to manipulate your audio that you're working on, can be a really powerful experience that can progress your skills further than you even realize. And that's why I am a huge fan of this UC1, and I want to do some more mixed videos for you to using this stuff to kind of just see how easy it is to implement into your own sessions. So that's the video today. If you've been wondering this whole time, I've been using the Telefunken U47 for this this video, mainly because I thought it would just be fun to use it. And it is going through a DW Fern VT-2 preamp. So it's kind of tube on tube. Hopefully it sounds good. I haven't even listened to it, to be honest. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you found it helpful. I hope you found it a little bit different than all the UC1 stuff that's out there. And don't forget, if you are curious about learning those frequencies, definitely check out Quiz Tones. If you want to learn audio, you got to get Quiz Tones. It's like the secret sauce to progressing your skills more than you thought you could, which is awesome. Thanks so much for watching. I will catch you guys on the next one. Peace, friends.